Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to Optimizing Your Business for Client Growth webinar. So it's co-hosted by Tim Sarrazin from 97 Display and Dan Becker from Amilia. Tim is the Director of Operations at 97 Display, and Dan is the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Amilia. So on the agenda today, we're going to introduce who 97 Display is and Amilia, get more attention from online community, SEO, get more leads from your website, type of content on your website that produces more leads, the online registration experience and why it matters, how to quickly communicate your full service offering online, and there'll be a question and answer period at the end. So if any of you have questions towards the end, jot them down and feel free to ask Tim and Dan in the question section of the GoToWebinar. So we'll keep the questions towards the end. Also, please note that we'll send you the PowerPoint in your inbox in the next few days. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so we're lucky to have Tim from 97 Display join us today and present. Hi, Tim.
Well, hey, everyone. I'm here. I'm on camera. So nice to virtually meet you. Thanks for everyone for logging in and watching this live. And if you're watching a replay, that's all right. Hello from the past. And but for those of you that are watching this live, thanks for joining.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. So 97 Display creates powerful fitness websites that increases exposures for gyms in your area. All the tools you need for a powerful online presence. And Amilia. Amilia is an e-commerce software for sports and recreation businesses. We excel at online registrations and your facility management needs. So that's who the speakers are, and I'll pass it over to Tim.
Well, hey guys, I'm super honored to be brought on as a guest presenter. Thank you, Amilia. And really honored for those of you that are logging on, watching this live. You're business owners. We're all busy. I get it, right? But you're going to invest the next few minutes of your time to learn about getting more attention online, but then also giving your customers a great experience, right? In their purchasing processes and streamlining your lead to member experience. And that's what this is all about. But we need to get back to the basics a little bit because, well, some of you might need more leads before you can even start thinking about more members. So that's what this presentation is about. A little bit of a backstory on me. My name is Timothy. I am in North Carolina, East Coast, United States. And I may have met some of you all before as I speak professionally at a variety of fitness conventions. So Club Industry Show, Idea World, URSA. If you've been to any of those events, I may have brushed shoulders with you, or maybe you came to one of my presentations. Also, I went to a rock climbing industry show. That was a lot of fun too. But for my friends up north, Amilia, if you're in Canada, there's a particular event called CanFit Pro. And I have not made it to that event yet. Hope to soon. But I work with hundreds of fitness business owners around the world with their websites. My team and I do. And we really have one goal, which is getting more community exposure. If someone searches online for what you would do or offer, we want you to be the primary result, and we want your reputation and brand perception to be very positive and accurately express your expertise to your community. And that's what this one sentence is: get more attention from your online community. And then 3 letters, SEO. Now, this is an interactive webinar, and I know that it's virtual, and you can see me and I can't see you, but there's question box. So type your questions. So if I say something that's really nerdy or like you don't understand it, that's all right. Just type a question there, and I'm happy to explain. But I am a marketing nerd for a living. And SEO is something I live and breathe, and that is search engine optimization. And it's as simple as, if someone searches in your town for what you do you appear? So that would be a really cool exercise. Don't be afraid. You're on your computer right now. Open up a new tab, and I want you to just search, your town plus what you do. All right. So if you have a gymnastics studio, I want you to do your town gymnastics. Or if you have a martial arts studio, you can do your town martial arts. And what happens? Are you the dominant search result? Because, industry trends these days are, that's how people discover new goods and services, is searching online. However, now many of you are kind of really excited about new members by getting them through digital advertisements. So on the next slide, we compare and contrast a few different digital advertisements. And it's important to understand, like, where do your leads come from? So you know, how many of you guys virtually raise your hands? Like, how many of you all know where your leads come from, right? Maybe they're calling you, maybe they're client referrals. But if you have a website and you're getting leads from your website, you know, it's important to think about, where did the traffic get to your website to begin with? And so I love that little emoji that's like, maybe I should start thinking about this, right? So let's go over a few different sources, popular sources that that people come from. And there's two main sources: inbound and outbound. Now, at this point in the conversation, many of you are thinking, oh no, what have I got myself into with this nerdy marketing lingo language? I'll break it down. It's really simple, okay? So on the left-hand column, it's inbound. So this is someone that just searches on Google, what you just did, right? When you open up the new tab and you search on Google, this is that person. They are already interested in your services, and that's why they are searching, right? And they're searching online. They're really asking the question, what business am I going to use to fulfill my need of this service? So let's just use martial arts, for example. I am searching martial arts in my town because I'm already interested in martial arts, and I just need to know what different school am I going to choose. And so what I'm asking in my mind is, do I trust this business? And so when you think about those sorts of people, you know, someone searching online already, you should really be having language patterns that are relevant to them, right? It makes sense. Now let's compare that to something like Facebook ads. So that's outbound traffic. So outbound is proactive marketing that attempts to convince the consumer to enter into the market. So maybe someone isn't interested in martial arts, right? But they just saw your ad and you're trying to spark the idea, oh, maybe I should become interested in martial arts. And so those are those people, and they're asking, is this a good deal, or do I think I would enjoy this experience? So these two different marketing sources require language patterns that speak to them and what their needs are. And that's what we're going to talk about today in regards to your website. So how we can get more leads from your website by understanding the psychology and mentality of what your visitors are asking. So on the previous slide, when I said, do you know where your customers are coming from? It's important for you to see those analytics. So, you know, if you have a website, you should have some sort of analytics and know where your customers are coming from. We could all safely assume, though, that your website is all about inbound traffic, people searching on Google. So that's what we're going to make an assumption right now and do that. Now let's dive into different sources for inbound on the next slide. And let's look at where different traffic sources come from. They can come from Google, right? They could come from Google Ads. If you're paying money on Google Ads, they could come from like Yellow Pages or Yelp.com. Maybe someone knows your website already. They're just typing it right in. That's a direct referral. Or maybe someone on your Facebook page that clicks on your website link. So for local businesses, this inbound traffic is the foundation of your traffic generation. And this traffic is really dependent on how you rank in search engines. You know, so if you rank #1, then you're going to get a lot of traffic from this. But if you don't rank #1, you won't. So understanding this concept, what can we do to get more leads from your website? Understanding that people are Googling, going to your website, and deciding whether or not they're going to convert. How can we improve the number of leads that we'll get? And that's what I ask on the next slide, which is, well, how can we get more leads from your website? Would you like to see some tools? So I give you know, all this disclaimer, this education, to tell you in this moment the hacks I'm about to show you are all about website hacks for people that are Googling and then finding your website. This is not about people that are clicking on Facebook ads and going to like a squeeze page or a ClickFunnels or something like that. Those are a whole different marketing side. So everything I'm about to show you is only to do if someone Googles for your services and goes to your website. And my friends, this is the purpose of your website. When someone Googles, you should appear front and center, and you should convince that person into a lead. All right, so now that we understand this is all about inbound traffic, let's dive into a couple cool website hacks that you can do to get more leads from your website, even if you're not a website guru or a developer or anything like that. Okay, so if you are getting traffic to your website, you want to increase your conversion rate. So conversion rate is, let's say you get 100 people on your website, what percentage of them became a lead? And for me, a lead is someone that gives you voluntarily their name, their email, and their phone number, right? So they got to give you their info. That's a lead. I'm requesting information. Now this cool chart on this page, love this chart. It's a little bit small, but if you can just, I guess you can't zoom in, but if you could look at that chart, that is global traffic for all 97 display websites. So as I previously mentioned, for the people that hopped in late, that's okay, you're forgiven. But I run a website company called 97 Display, and I have the really cool opportunity to look at global data of all these fitness websites. So imagine all the websites together, and I'm looking at the data for every one of them. So right now we have about 800 websites. We're doing like 500,000 unique visitors a month. We did like 13,000 leads last month. It's crazy. Black Friday was insane. Anyway, when you have that kind of data, you can track trends. So what do I mean by trends? Like what pages are they going to? What kinds of things are motivating them to actually become leads? So I'm tracking this data, and a couple of years ago, I began seeing this trend, and it was mind blowing. And I began seeing that top line on that graph, that was all the homepage visits. And do you see underneath, there's two other lines, and then all the other lines are at the bottom. So there are two clear runners up that have a disproportionate amount of traffic compared to all other pages. And so I realized, wow, people that are looking for fitness services are following a trend. And that's what I'm going to show you in this. So wouldn't it make sense if you knew the trend? If I knew this is about 80% of all traffic is going to this page number 2, and then another 80% of that traffic is going to page number 3. If I told you what pages those were, and we could improve those pages, wouldn't that make sense? Like if 80% of your traffic is trying to follow this journey, right? So that's what we've done, and I'm about to show you how you can do this. How can you get more trust from your website? And that's what I call it, the path of digital trust. And it's as simple as this. So it starts at your homepage, and then it goes to your reviews page, about 80% of your reviews page, and then about 80% of those people go to your staff page. And normally when I'm speaking at conventions and I'm talking about this, I ask people like, take a guess. What do you think the most popular pages are? And people say, I don't know, about us, contact, maybe like what is gymnastics or whatever their program is. But no, it's reviews and it's staff. And what that tells me, and what the studies are showing, is that if someone searches for a new good or service and they go to the home page, they're asking the question, do they have what I'm looking for? Does this brand have what I'm looking for? And then when they go to the reviews page, they're asking, what do others say about this business? What do other people say about this business? And then when they go to the staff page, they're asking, can I trust this person with my mind, with my body, with my money? If you own a fitness business, this is a very vulnerable business to be in from your consumer standpoint, because they're going to come pay you money, their disposable income, to do movements they've never done before, to be wearing clothes they're not comfortable in yet. Hopefully, it's a little vulnerable. They want to trust you, and that to be a successful fitness business with an online lead gen program, you've got to build trust, and this is how you do it. So on your home page, there's something called a first fold, right? And it is the most important part of your website. And so you can see what your first fold is. Go load your website, open up a tab and load a website, and it's whatever appears on the screen. It's whatever appears on that screen. So that is your first fold, and it is the most important part of your website, even if I don't have a slide for it, okay? So the reason why it's so important is because that's the first thing your visitors see. And it's kind of like a first date. It's kind of like if you sit down with someone on a first date and their impression is in the first 2 seconds, how do you think that date's going to go? Probably not too well. And that's the same thing with your website. If someone comes to your website and they don't immediately find what they're looking for, they're probably going to go back and press the back button or find another website. And so what did we say that your consumers are looking for? What questions do they have on your homepage? Does this business have what I'm looking for? Okay, so what are some common things that people put on their first folds that doesn't answer the question? They could do something like, I am the best gymnastics studio in the entire city. Or they could say something like, start your journey here. I can't stand it when they do that. Start your journey here. No, what do you mean my journey? You don't even know what my journey is. Like, that's not communicating anything. So you want to speak about them and give a clear value proposition. So a clear value proposition is something like helping the community of Charlotte, North Carolina achieve their fitness goals one routine at a time. Or helping the community of Charlotte, like we have, you might even be on this call, Julie. She does triathlon training. So helping community, like the community of Charlotte, finally achieve their triathlon dreams. The right equipment, the right training, the right race, or something like that. So, like that kind of idea. So if I visit that website, I'm like, oh, well, I'm looking for, triathlon training, and I'm located in Charlotte. So you have what I'm looking for. Now, the other key thing is a call to action. So a call to action is, what are you going to ask your visitors to do? So what a lot of people do, and a common pitfall, is they include a multiple calls to action. So they include things like download our ebook, subscribe to our newsletter, call now, like our Facebook page, buy this thing. And you really want to minimize your calls to action. So I want you to look at your website, and I want you to identify different calls to action, because if you have more than one, there's something that happens called paradox of choice. Paradox of choice is where there are so many calls to action, your consumers do nothing at all. There are so many calls to action, your consumers do nothing at all. We don't like that, right? So we want to minimize your calls to action. We want one or two, and it's really what you want them to do. I love the call to action, request more information. That's all my buttons say that, request more information. Statistically, we get more action with that button than others. So, okay, homepage, key homework items, write this down. And if you get the slides, it'll be included in it, okay? Write it down. Clear value proposition, talking about your consumer. Clear calls to action, maximum of 1 to 2. So that's how you can improve your homepage. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the second page that people, 80% of your traffic, if they find what they're looking for on their homepage, then they go to your reviews page. So let's check out that slide. So your reviews page is another very, very important. So first of all, you need to have a reviews page. So if you don't have a reviews page on your website, definitely have one. And I want you to specifically call it reviews, okay? So the reason why is a lot of times people do like success stories or testimonials. Well, the term testimonial connotates that you are generating that testimonial. Like you have created that content. You're speaking on behalf of the person. Whereas reviews connotates community generated content, because that's the phenomenon that's happened with social media reviews. So I want you to call it reviews specifically. And that's also so powerful because you can search your business name. So go to Google, search your business name, and then type the letter R. And I bet you a suggested search is your business name, reviews. That's what people are searching. So if you call it reviews, what happens is that page will begin to rank when people search it, which is great. You want to incorporate social media. All you're doing is sharing what other people are saying about you. So take screenshots like what this is. This is a screenshot of someone that left a 5-star review for 97 display fitness websites. And they are leaving it on, I just screenshot that and I add it to my reviews page. And you can see those little 5 gold stars. Even if you can't read that text, you can sure see those 5 gold stars, and we like that, okay? So that is something that's really powerful. You can take, any review anywhere, and if it doesn't have 5 gold stars, you just Photoshop like 5 little gold stars there, and it looks really nice. So long as what they're saying is actually, a good review. That would be my suggestion with that 5 stars hack. And then finally, tell them what you want them to do. Want to be our next success story? Do you want to be like these people? Do this. The best way to not get leads is not asking for them to become a lead. So have a call to action on every page, including your reviews page. Homework items. Make a reviews page, incorporate social media little snippets. Really easy. You don't have to be a developer. You should be good. And if you are paying someone to do a website, ask them to do this. And if it takes them way too long, you should probably find another website provider. Like, man, I wish I knew a brand that could do that. Anyway, so yeah, so these are your page homework items. Okay, and as you all recall, what happens next after they go to your homepage and they see that yes, you have what you have what they're looking for. Then the next page is what does society say about you? Not what are you saying about yourself, but what is society saying about you? Then they finally get to the final stage of building trust, and it is, who are you? Do I trust you as a person? And they learn that for your staff page. So number one, you need to have a staff page. Okay, so that's the first step. Number two, you want to look nice and smile. Okay, the purpose of this page is only to know if they can trust you. So again, our positioning is towards the visitor, the website visitor. It's, do they trust you? So you need a professional headshot. Like, it doesn't have to be a professional photographer headshot. Everyone's got one of these fancy phones now. All the cameras are world class. You can just have someone, good lighting, take a nice picture of you, boom, professional headshot. What this is not is you bench pressing 300 pounds. This is not you doing backflips. This is not you actually doing exercises. That's not, can I trust you? That is, wow, you're so much better than me at what it is I'm interested in doing, and you're probably going to overwhelm me, right? So this isn't about bragging about yourself. This is about, do I trust you? So one way that you can do that is something called a video hack, which is this. Let's say you have a dance studio. Like, hey, my name is Timothy, and I'm the owner of Timothy's Dance Studio here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am so excited that you're thinking about enrolling at my school. One of my favorite success stories was when mom brought in her 5-year-old daughter who was, really struggling with a variety of areas of her life, but found that through dance, not only was she getting her good exercise in, but she also built her confidence up, and her grades improved, her attitude improved, and she has a great outlet for all her energy, and she's now doing this really cool, amazing thing now that she's been a part of my studio, okay? That video, if you record a little video like that, and then you put it on your staff page under your bio, when people watch it, it will build trust where you are a real human. And so it humanizes your brand. So instead of Timothy's Dance Studio, it's me. And you could also say, I left out, like, hey, I want you to come ask for me. I'll show you around the studio. I'll treat you like family. And that's going to build a lot of trust. Now, there is a time and place for your professional bio. It's at the bottom of your staff page. And what you do is you do, hey, I'm Timothy. I'm the owner of Timothy's Studio. Here's my video, right? Watch it. And then underneath, you can do like a hard break, like a line. And then you have a third person professional bio. Like, Timothy Sarrazin has owned the school for a long time. Oh, great. Let's write a bio together. Here's the copy for you. So my name is Timothy, and I'm the owner of this studio, of this authority. This is your video script bio, okay? We've been helping the community of your town for X number of years. This is your authority and relevance to a community. One of my favorite success stories was from when Avatar client from this particular town accomplished this cool goal in only this amount of time frame, right? So if you're in that target audience, you should do this too. That is your ideal bio script. Now, underneath that, you can do third person. That's like, Timothy got his degree from this area, his professional accomplishments is this, and he's amazing. So that could be your professional bio with all your professional accreditation underneath. But up top, again, our positioning is towards the client. You want to paint a beautiful future so they can be like someone else that you've helped. That is the purpose of your bio page, and that's how you build trust. So, have we learned something? I hope we learned something to remember. Your website has the potential to be your #1 news source of leads. And it is for the majority of our fitness businesses globally. So if you rank #1, then your website could be a steady stream of leads, and you don't have to depend on that outbound traffic. So that's typically building that trust is then what leads into ranking online, and then what leads into getting leads, which then leads into them actually buying things, like registering for your stuff. And that's where Amilia comes in and is able to streamline that process and make a really cool lead to member experience. So all the stuff I talked about, take your notes. It's where I'm an expert in. If you need help, you can just Google us, 97display.com. But let's pass the baton to Amilia to talk about, cool, now you got a lead. What happens next?
Thank you so much for that, Tim. So everyone, I'm Daniel. I'll quickly introduce myself. I've been at Amelia for a few months now. I very, very quickly came to understand the amazing value that Amelia brings to the table by allowing people to register for activities online. I'll get into it a bit more, but I mean, as an active participant myself in several fitness centers in Montreal, which is where we are, um, I very much understand the important value that it is to enable your customers to buy your service offerings online, whether it's fitness classes, dance classes, whatever it is that you're offering. It's a crucial step in the process. So in continuing where Tim left off, he spoke to us about how to generate good leads. So in marketing terms, we call these qualified leads, people that are qualified to see what you have to offer and who want to understand more and eventually try out your offering. So I have some good leads at this point. Tim has really helped me generate some great leads on my site by optimizing SEO, optimizing my reviews page and my staff page so that people can really understand the best of who we are. So what's next? So basically the last step is really helping people buy what you're offering. So you have all these people, they're waiting to experience what you're offering. Now it's time for you to actually enable them to buy your classes or your activities, whatever it is. And really what I want to stress here is online registration is a process that really, really makes a big difference in the customer journey that you're providing to your customers. So, I mean, we could say like it's important to have an online store and to sell your offerings online, that it is, but it's also really important to make sure that as business owners, you're optimizing that process for your customers and you're making it the best that it could be. Not only to create a good service experience to them, but also just to make sure that you on your side are getting everything that you need and so that you're convincing people to essentially go with your business instead of others. So really what I've done here is I've kind of divided it up into what I'm calling 5 golden rules to optimize your buyer experience. So I'll take you through each one. Let's start off with the first one. Rule number 1 sounds very simple. Sell your offerings online. Many of you might already understand the importance of this, but I'll kind of give you some interesting statistics just to kind of show you where we are in the world right now. We're at a point where sites like Amazon are generating so much of the world's transactions. People used to shop in person. They used to line up for things. They'd wait outside overnight for Black Friday offers, things like that. We're at a point where times are changing, and Amazon really has kind of adapted the way that we as consumers act when we're buying things. Just to give you one statistic, which I find absolutely incredible, Amazon Prime Day this year, so as you may know, Amazon Prime Day is their biggest day of the year when essentially they put everything on their site on sale. Their sales grew by 74% in 2018 versus just last year. So imagine the number of people that are buying online. And guys, they sold $4.2 billion worth of merchandise online. It is up from $2.4 billion last year. These are gigantic numbers. And you can only imagine the number of people that are required to generate these numbers, the number of people that are actually buying things online. All of this is really like we're training consumers to act differently, and people now expect to be able to buy things online. People don't have patience anymore to wait in lines. A lot of the time, people want to be able to buy things and have it delivered to their office directly from their office. So we're in a changing world. Globally, e-commerce is worth about $2.8 trillion as an industry. It's expected to grow by 60% more just over the next 3 years. So imagine by 2021 where we're going to be at. I'm sure a lot of you right now do a lot of your buying online. So you can only, if you put yourself in your own shoes and in other people's shoes, these are the expectations that people want to have these days. In the US alone, the US is responsible for 14% of total global e-commerce. These are huge numbers. And Canada, just a bit shy of about 10% of where the US is at. Canada is responsible for generating 1.2% of the total global e-commerce that's done. So really, this is a massive, massive change in the way that we are as people and as consumers. So my point here is basically just to say that your customers now expect to buy what you offer directly online. They don't want to necessarily line up anymore. Some other reasons to sell online as a business. I mean, people want instant access. They want instant gratification. That's what millennials and Generation Z are used to. But I mean, I'm just mentioning 2 different age brackets here. I know people that are 95 years old and they do their purchasing online. So it really affects everyone now. The other thing is, by selling online, you enable people to shop from anywhere. So, I mean, I could start railing off statistics about the number of people who buy from their cell phones now and from their iPhones or Androids or whatever device they use. But really, we're in a world where people are buying more on their mobile devices now than they even are from their desktop computers or in person. So it's really important that we actually enable people to shop where they want. The other thing is it allows people to shop around the clock. So whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning and someone's up late and they want to register their kids for classes, or if it's the first thing that they do when they wake up at 5:30 in the morning because their kids are shouting and screaming in the other room. Really, selling online gives people that ability to do it when and where they want, to buy when and where they want. The other thing is it enables really flexible and automatic different payment options for your clients. And this is super important in a buyer experience. So it's important that you be able to offer things like installment payments or recurring payment options if you want to automatically charge people every so often. The more payment options that you offer to your clients, the happier they'll be, the easier it is for them, and it ultimately decreases any barriers to entry. So let's say, for example, a class that you offer costs $1,000 for a session. $1,000 might be a lot of money to pay up front for someone, but if they can pay in several installments or 10 installments of $100, for example, it makes things easier, and it allows them to basically pay when it's easier for them. Also, it's a term which we use in marketing a lot, CRM, customer relationship management. A CRM system is basically a place where you can store all of your client info in one place. And often when people buy online, they have to submit a lot of information like their name, their address, their phone number, their email, their credit card information. And ultimately, a CRM system allows you to store that information super safely, abiding by all the privacy laws, of course, but it allows you to store this information so that you can then be in touch with your customers as you go on. And this is a really important part of managing a business overall. You ultimately want to have a good relationship with your clients. So it's important that you have a system that enables that. The other thing too, I mean, listen, the last 2 main things that I put down here is it allows you to eliminate waiting lines for people so that they don't need to spend 2 hours waiting to register their kids for classes or even themselves. And at the same time, it frees up time for your admin staff. So really they can spend time, instead of manually registering people on your computer, they can really spend their time helping you achieve your ultimate objective, which is probably something along the lines of serving your community better. So all of that to say, as e-commerce grows, customers are getting smarter. And that leads me to my second rule here, which is that it's not just about having content, it's about having the right content. And Tim spoke about this a bit as well, where we can write things on our website and on whatever pages we have on our website, but that content doesn't necessarily always speak to people in the way that they want to be spoken to. So it's really important that you optimize the content that you offer. And Tim he gave some amazing key takeaways and homework items for what you can do in terms of generating these leads and optimizing your staff and your reviews page and even your homepage, which is probably the most important page on your website. But even throughout the buyer experience, there's a really interesting statistic here that 88% of shoppers claim that having detailed product descriptions are extremely important in their decision to buy. So I mean, whether you're offering physical products or services or activities or whatever, it's really important that you communicate the right information in the descriptions that you put forth. And you need to be able to choose an e-commerce platform that allows you to do that. You'd be absolutely shocked at how many suppliers are out there that are e-commerce platforms that have such limited communication capabilities. They don't let you tell the important information to your customers. So really, when you're doing your research to offer your buying experience online and to have an online store, make sure that you're choosing a provider that actually gives you these functionalities. So what are some important pieces of product content that help drive your sales? I put a screenshot here of Team Triumph, which is located in Ottawa, Canada. This is actually a client who uses both 97 Display and Amilia, so it's kind of an interesting case study there. But if you look at what they're communicating in their online store, you can see they're communicating really important information like the session and the program timing. They're giving some detailed descriptions on the activity information, so who the instructors are, what the facilities are, things like that. People want to know where they're going and who they're going to be learning from ultimately, and who they're going to be interacting with in their classes. At the same time, obviously, I mean, it sounds obvious, but you'd be very surprised. It's super crucial to show the timing of these things and to display the price and any payment plans or promotions super upfront and just making it really simple for people to digest this information. It's also important to show availability or wait lists. So, you know, classes fill up, and if people are registering a couple months in advance, there's always the chance that, we hope not, but there's the chance that some people might drop out. So you might as well enable a wait list so that you can have people to fill those empty spots as they come up. The other thing too, just important other things to convey are restrictions. So for example, if you have like a taekwondo studio and you're hosting a black belt class, you obviously only want it open to people that have that skill level. Or if you want to host a dance class for kids between the ages of 3 and 5, but not over the ages of 5 or under the ages of 3, you need to be able to have those restrictions as well, and you need to put that information forth. And then at the same time, the last thing which is an important thing to identify as well, is if there's any membership requirements. So if someone's joining this class, do they have to be a member of your studio or of a federation or anything like that as well? Rule number 3, don't put up a login wall for people to get the information that they need about your offerings. You know, like I said, having content available and at people's disposal is absolutely crucial to get them to buy, and it's a crucial part of the decision process. So the last thing that you want is to have a really enticing button like this that says learn more, and then lead them to a page where they need to enter their account information. I mean, honestly, as a consumer, I've been in situations like this, and to me, this has always kind of sent off a red flag, you know, like, why are these people making me sign in before they even give me this information that I need? What are they trying to hide? You know, as a consumer, I almost feel like I'm being robbed before I even bought anything. So it's super crucial that you put all the information about your product offerings up front and center, and you offer it to people proactively without making them create an account and log in. Just let them see what they want ultimately. Rule number 4. Tim already spoke about this a lot, but you'd be surprised. It's really important to have bold, clear calls to action. There's a lot of e-commerce platforms out there that don't have clear buttons, and you know, that's part of the game at this point. You need to be able to tell people where they need to actually click to sign up. You'd be so surprised, but there's a lot of platforms out there where people ultimately decide that they want to buy something and then they get lost. So it kind of defeats the whole purpose, because they end up calling the organization and having to speak to someone at the front desk on the phone. And it defeats the whole purpose of allowing people to self-serve and buy online. So, you know, these are just some examples of calls to action, but like register, sign up, join the wait list, take me to the party. There's obviously different things out there, but it's really important that you make it clear where people actually need to click to buy. And the last rule, just to kind of sum things up, is make checkout easy. So, I mean, what do I mean by this? Firstly, as a business, it's up to you to choose your e-com platform wisely. So, you know, I mentioned that a lot of people are buying on their mobile devices now more than ever. So you need to make sure that your e-com platform is mobile optimized. There's a lot of sites that don't actually have a simple user-friendly experience when people are buying on their iPhones or on their Androids. It might take a website and just shrink it down super small so that you can't read any of the writing. But in an ideal world, you'd choose a platform that has actually planned for this. So they've designed their site to make the buttons super easy to click on a phone and to make any forms really easy to fill out, things like that. Also, from a payment standpoint, does your e-commerce platform offer multiple payment options? So things like credit card, that's kind of a given. Do they offer e-check options? Can you customize payment plans like installments or recurring payment options? These are all things that are really important to consider when you're actually choosing your platform. Ultimately, the more ways that you enable people to pay, you're ultimately decreasing any barriers that might stop them from buying your offering. So you might as well make it as easy as possible. Another thing, like, can your customers add multiple items into their cart at one time? You'd be really surprised, but sometimes people go in through a registration software, or they'll go to a website and they'll want to buy something and they can click register, and it allows them to register for that one thing and that one thing only. So they'll go through their entire checkout experience, they'll put in their credit card information, and that's the only thing that they've done. So yes, they're buying one thing, but what if they want to add, like a water bottle or a T-shirt or a backpack that's, branded by the fitness club? It's our duty to, at this point, allow people to add multiple items to their cart and check out just one time. You don't want people to have to go through your checkout 5 times or 3 times. Let everyone just add what they want from the get-go and then check out one time, enter their credit card one time. And then the last thing, as a business, obviously you want to collect information and like waivers for your online registration. So does your e-commerce platform actually enable that? There's a lot of platforms out there that have like a side process or they'll deal with like a third-party form supplier. So you go through the registration without having to fill out any forms, and then ultimately you're brought to a second website to fill out forms. Or the org will say, now that we've taken your money, come in and fill out any paperwork so that you can sign up properly for your class and so that you can attend the first session. Make sure that you're choosing a platform that actually lets you do all of this in one place. It's super easy. There's platforms out there. I can name one obvious one, which is very top of mind for myself. But anyways, just do your research on that front. What else you can do in things that are under your control once you've really chosen your e-commerce platform? Show people the right content at the right time. And I spoke about this in one of my points as well. Price your offerings carefully and competitively. So, do your research. Chances are you might not be the only one in your community offering what you do. So make sure that you're analyzing your competitors to see what they're charging for, so that ultimately you're not shutting people out. At the same time, what I spoke about is to offer multiple payment plans. So, offer different options to people based on the way that they want to pay. If you have an expensive offering, let them pay through installments. Otherwise, like if you want to have open gym access or things like that, let them sign up for auto renewing plans just so that they don't need to go and pay every single month. And then at the same time, this kind of goes along with it, but allow people to save their credit card information for future purchases. Again, just in the spirit of optimizing things, it allows people to check out faster in the future. So those are some of my 5 golden rules to optimize your buyer experience. Just to quickly recap: 1, sell online. Have an online store. You can have an amazing website. This is kind of the icing on the cake, which just lets people buy when and where they want. 2, have good content and show it to people. Don't make people log in to get the information that they need. 4, optimize your checkout experience. Make checkout really easy. And 5, have clear calls to action. So ultimately, that's the end of my part. Thank you. I'm going to leave the floor to Sarah right now. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to write them in, and Tim and I can answer any outstanding things that you might want to clarify.
Yes, I'd like to thank you, Tim, for taking the time to speak during this webinar. We really appreciate it, Tim, sharing all your knowledge with us, and Dan as well, taking the time to do this. And yeah, the floor is open for questions if anybody has some. I see a question, actually. Let me read it out.
I've got a question too, Dan.
Yes.
So how can you help us price appropriately? Maybe you have a product, or what would you recommend if I don't know how to price an item online? And you got lots of competition with Amazon. Like, what are some suggested tools that I could use for knowing what to price?
Yeah, I mean, I would always start off by doing research. So, I mean, if you don't know who your competitors are in the market, a good place to start is simply like honestly going into Google Maps and typing in like let's say you're a fitness center and you're looking for other fitness centers in the neighborhood and you don't know exactly who's out there yet. Maybe you're new to a city or it's just a new territory for you. Go to Google, search within your community, see who's available. You can check on Google Maps to see within proximity to your studio where they are essentially. And that's usually a good starting point. The other thing, which Tim, I mean, you mentioned as well, is just to go into Google and see who shows up at the top when you're searching for certain keywords. So if you're a fitness studio and you type in, you know, fitness studios North Carolina, then the first ones who show up, they're usually the ones that are proactively advertising. I mean, if it's a sponsored ad, it means that they're putting money behind themselves to get their offering out there. Otherwise, if they rank organically, it's probably because they have a really good website that's optimized for search. So start by analyzing these people, see how much they're charging for their offerings, read their reviews as well, see if people are happy with what they're spending and what they're getting by spending that amount. That I think is always a solid starting point in order to price your offerings. And at the same time, I mean, you can also do early on research. If you're a new studio and you don't exactly know how to price yourself, it's always kind of okay to prototype your offerings. So you know, you could host a class and let people pay what they think it's worth. And this is always kind of an interesting way of doing it at the very beginning and just being totally transparent with people to say, hey, we're a new studio in town. This is what we have to offer. How much do you think this is worth to you and what are you willing to pay? It's always a really interesting thing to get people's takes on that from like a very human standpoint as well. So I would say like you can do your market research. At the same time, speaking to people and getting human feedback is always really valuable, especially for these community organizations as well.
We
Awesome,
have another
thanks.
question actually from Sam. His question is for you, Tim. What would you recommend of an average size gym spend on social media advertisement?
um, so I think it comes down to what, how many students or members do you need or want? You know, so I speak with people that have 10,000 square feet and only have capacity for so much, and I speak with other people that have less than that and more than that. So I think a better question is, how many new members? What's your goal for, let's say, 2019? You know, what is your member goal for 2019? And then how many members per month you would need. So let's just say your goal is to grow by 100 members in 2019. You would need 8. I'm sorry. You would need you need 8 members, right, every month. And then you got to think, well, how many leads do you need to sell 8 members? And then how much money it would cost to get those numbers of leads. So that is the way I would reverse engineer that question. Now, for many of my customers, their website traffic leads is sufficient. They actually spend $0 on social media advertising. But I also have other customers that have defined things that they're working on. Like I've got a guy that's doing like a New Year 6-week challenge, and he wants to fill it up. So he's going to spend a couple $1,000s to make sure it fills up. And that would be an influx of money. So I think I would be focused on goal oriented, and then I would be really testing different advertising strategies to see which one accomplishes that goal. And the worst thing you can do is just blindly throw money at Facebook because you got to. Then you're just spending money on Facebook for fun. And believe it or not, Facebook makes it very easy for you to do that. Very easy for you to do that. So I would strongly recommend outsourcing to someone that can run ads professionally. And I would strongly recommend having specific goals and knowing your metrics to achieve them. And then that way you'll spend your money more wisely. So hopefully that helps answer that question.
I'm gonna chime in there as well just for a second, but I think social media sites like Facebook have very specific ways of optimizing your spend as well. So it kind of depends what your objective is. Like Tim said, like if your objective is really just to gain awareness in a large space, and I'm talking like territorially a large space. If, for example, you want to generate crazy levels of awareness across the United States, you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. if you want to just kind of gain awareness within a very specific zone in a regional area, you could limit the amount that you're actually spending, but Facebook gives you the ability to really hone in on specific areas geographically, and then you can also target people based on their lifestyles. So that's one of the things about Facebook, is it knows a lot of information about us as humans. That's kind of their whole platform, and they want to learn more, and their system is learning more about us. And now with their advertising capabilities, you're actually able to target people based on their demographics, based on their lifestyles, and based on even like the things that they like. So if, for example, someone likes fitness on or like a group that specializes in fitness, you can target people specifically so that they see your ad. And that's one of the amazing things about Facebook as well. It really comes down to what your objectives are.
Thank you, Dan and Tim, for answering that. Hopefully that answers your questions, Sam. We actually have another question that came in from Nick. How many reviews are too many reviews on your website? And should we put bios for all your staff or just the lead staff, Tim?
Yeah, I would recommend having bios for all of your staff. If it's a staff member that maybe it's just admin or whatever, maybe don't. But look, at the end of the day, it's just, are you going to put in the work or not? So I would just say have a bio. Plus, that staff member, he's probably going to share that bio and be proud of it. So give them that's a stickiness for employees sort of situation. If you're not going to give an employee a bio, then you're going to keep them around. So definitely have bios for everyone. As far as how many reviews, I don't know, go to 97display.com/reviews and you can see how many I put there. The more the merrier. I think at some point you could probably overkill it. The point of it is just one thing and one thing only, which is, what does society say about you, and can you accomplish that in 5, 10, 15, 20? It might be the style of your reviews page, of how many you can fit in there. So I think if you do at least 10, all right, and then if you're worried about the way that it aesthetically looks, then go get someone outside of your business, tell them to look at your page and tell you if it looks too much or not. Like, my favorite person to do that is my mom. So my mom is not very technically savvy, but if I need help like getting a second pair of eyes on something aesthetic from a consumer standpoint, I'm like, hey Mom, do you think this looks good or bad? And her insight is sometimes taken, sometimes just appreciated. but it's a helpful exercise.
I think if people have good things to say about your community or about what you're offering, then you might as well showcase it.
Yeah.
So get it out there, get the good words out there, and hope for the best.
Yeah. Great question.
All right, I hope that answers your question, Nick. And that's it for the questions. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I'd like to thank you so much, Tim and Dan, for sharing your knowledge. And hopefully everybody got a little piece of knowledge to bring back to their business. And stay tuned for in your inboxes, so you'll be able to get the PowerPoint coming to you in the next few days. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the best day.
Thanks. See you.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.